Welcome to Your Parents' Attic. We dive into your childhood each and every week, 80s and 90s. I'm Glenn.
I'm Greg.
And we are getting into this episode. We are getting into Beavis and Butthead, a famous MTV cartoon show that ran from 93 to 97 and then came back in the year 2011, but just wasn't the same. There was a feature film about Beavis and Butthead, and it's by Mike Judge, who did King of the Hill, which if you watch Beavis and Butthead and Family King of the Hill, you kind of got that correlation between some of the characters and the drawing and the animation.
Sure.
But Beavis and Butthead, man, I'm gonna be honest for you. I enjoy Beavis and Butthead watching back now, and of course the movie. But growing up, especially when I was 10
Yeah, I was gonna say you had to be
10 years old, 13 years old. You mentioned this before. With our SNCC one, I was not allowed to watch MTV. Therefore, Beavis and Butthead was a big no-no when it came to watching. So I was stuck listening to people do their worst impressions about Beavis and Butthead at school.
And everybody had a terrible Beavis and or Butthead impression. Yeah,
or,
they were all really
doing
bad.
that TP Cornholio.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Every single day. So I had to be stuck with that, which made me realize maybe it was a good thing that I was not allowed to watch the show.
Sure.
But it was had a cult following. A lot of people watched the show, and it still lives on today because they're trying to bring it back. People want to watch it.
Yeah.
And people will still watch the DVDs and Blu-rays and those awful music videos. So we're going to get into that and much more. So here we go. Beavis and Butthead.
This sucks. Change it.
Listen up, morons!
Please welcome Beavis and Buffcoat.
Hi, Butthead.
Hi, Master Beavis.
Now, which one of you fellas is Rod Munch?
Don't tell our real name.
Buff Coat and Beaver?
We'll call them Stephen and Bernard.
What's your name?
Beavis and Butthead! Do you know the answer? I already told you, dumbass. Dumbass? 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 What are you, some kind of butt ventriloquist?
I'm the great Cornholio. 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 I am Cornholio.
Beavis, shut up or I'll kick your ass. Bunghole. Fart knocker.
Bunghole.
Dillweed.
Butt wipe.
Ass munch.
Butthole.
Butt dumpling. Butt burglar. Butt munch. Butt wipe. Beavis, you wuss.
He said you're a wuss.
That guy's a wuss. Beavis, your balls are filthy.
Okay, follow me, girls.
I can't do this all day, dillweed.
Get these little bastards out of here!
I'm afraid that's all the time we have for Beavis and Butthead. But keep listening, because somebody always wins.
All right, Beavis and Butthead. It was a show that was late at night, and they had a disclaimer on the show. It said, Beavis and Butthead are not real. They are stupid cartoon people completely made up by this Texas guy whom we hardly even know. Beavis and Butthead are dumb, crude, thoughtless, ugly, sexist, self-destructive fools. But for some reason, the little wiener heads make us laugh. And then it was changed to Beavis
I was going to say,
Butthead.
hold on. The first one, and I don't believe the second one, the first one was read by Jon Stewart.
Okay.
Which not many people know, but if you go back and watch it, it's totally Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes it even more entertaining because when you think about Jon Stewart, Jon Stewart now, yeah, he recorded the disclaimer for Beavis and Butthead.
And then it was changed to Beavis and Butthead are not role models. They aren't even human. They're cartoons. Some of the things they do will cause a person to get hurt, expelled, arrested, possibly deported. To put it another way, do not try this at home. And now, because they did a lot of things that people wanted to, obviously at home, kids, teenagers wanted to set things on fire and cause havoc in the community, which people did to emulate Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
So it caused a lot of controversy. A lot of parent groups, media groups, TV groups were against Beavis and Butthead. So, but do you really think? And here's a question that good discussion to bring up. Do you really think that if all this controversy surrounding the show wasn't there, that this show would have been as popular as it was? Because do you think the controversy brought more attention to it because it was the cool thing to do to watch because people were hating it? It was almost like reverse psychology on kids and other people who wanted to watch it.
I think it still would have been big. Yeah. I don't think it would have been I don't think we'd still be talking about it now. I think that part of it is Mike Judge knew his audience extremely well. And I would almost I don't think that it was manipulative on his part. I don't think he made the content the way it was so that parents groups would hate it. I think it was kind of a happy accident. I think he just was like, what would two idiot teenagers do if they had no parental supervision?
And where were the parents?
They referenced Beavis's mom all the time.
But where was she?
I don't know.
I
knew where she was last night.
Oh.
See? And that's the thing. That's the kind of joke they'd make.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously somebody's paying the electric bill so that they could watch TV.
The house was just awful condition.
Yeah.
They were in a trailer park. I don't mean to stereotype people, but I mean, if you think Beavis and Butthead,
they had a house.
They had a real house, and they had a legit cool, not in a bad neighborhood. They had legit neighbors too. So it was like, what's the backstory about Beavis and Butthead? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
and
maybe one day we'll find out. We'll
maybe.
get our Beavis and Butthead prequel.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, this was a show that brought a lot of controversy. That was the reason why I wasn't allowed to watch it.
I wasn't allowed to watch it either, for the record.
Okay.
I would just... My brother and I had this really great idea that my dad fell asleep at 7:30 at night, and my mom would usually go to sleep about 9 or 9:30. So if it was the weekends and we weren't going to, stay at a friend's house or whatever, we'd just stay downstairs and watch TV. And at that point, I'm guessing we were probably on the honor system, so it was one of those, I'm sure they're not going to watch anything stupid.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's
Beavis and Butthead and Liquid Television, which Liquid Television's amazing, and I've had a couple people ask if we were going to talk about it, and unfortunately I don't think you really have knowledge of Liquid Television.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so we're not... Liquid Television is where Beavis and Butthead came from.
Well, from Frog
Baseball. Frog Baseball
yeah.
started on Liquid Television.
Okay.
And Liquid Television. Adult Swim wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Liquid Television. I mean, Beavis and Butthead came from it, so you could say that, I know a lot of people say, if it wasn't for Beavis and Butthead, there wouldn't be Adult Swim. If there wasn't Liquid Television, there wouldn't be Beavis and Butthead or Adult Swim. Yeah. Liquid Television was a bunch of really weird animators, or in a couple cases, some live action stuff, like Dog Boy, which I really hope somebody out there gets that reference. It was just a half hour, and it was like taking acid. Yep. It was the transitions between the shows. It was always just this. The TV looked like a giant water bottle, essentially, or a giant cooler water bottle, and it would kind of fluctuate. The water levels would fluctuate, and then every once in a while there would be this really psychedelic, trippy face that would talk, and it looked like something out of a nightmare. It was really weird. But then they'd have this really subversive, off-the-wall animation or whatever. And I remember watching it, and, that's where Aeon Flux came from. That's where the Max came from. That's where the Head came from. Which, again, stuff that nobody, I'm sure, knows anything about, other than maybe Aeon Flux. But that's where Beavis and Butthead came from. And I remember watching it and going, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
It was... And, I mean, it was a lot more mean-spirited, like the Frog Baseball short, which, I'm sure it's on YouTube or whatever. They were never really quite that mean-spirited on the show. That was two psychopathic teenagers, just killing frogs.
You know what? We actually played Frog Baseball in the backyard.
Are you serious? I kind of don't like you anymore.
My father played Frog Baseball.
Get the F out of here.
I'm just remembering this right now. Oh, get Pete on the phone.
I'm mellowing in my old age, and that
my
kind
dad
of
would
abuse
make
towards
me
animals.
Bitch underhand frogs.
Yeah, you're not allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead because it's so terrible. But you're going to go in the backyard and hit amphibians with
Obviously,
baseball
my
bats.
father was watching Beavis.
I guess so. God dang,
you can't
man.
watch it, but we're going to reenact what we saw in the backyard. Yeah, dude, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
But that's the
Sorry.
thing.
I was like 10 years old. Don't judge me.
No, I'm going to judge the living hell out of you. But that's the thing. Getting back to the original point, I don't know that it was a purposeful thing to make it bad enough that parents hated it.
Yeah.
I think it was just a guy going, here's two teenagers that have no sense of morality. Because I think that's really, in retrospect, what it was. They had no idea what was right and wrong. They were going for what was cool and what wasn't cool, which is completely different than right and wrong. And sometimes cool stuff wasn't all that awful, and sometimes cool stuff was horrendous.
Yeah.
And again, Frog Baseball was, wow, these kids are terrible. Beavis and Butthead is, these kids need parental supervision. I mean, kids need parental supervision anyways, but these kids really need parental supervision because they really, really, really like that Melvin's video.
But also, I mean,
It was a really good video.
Besides that, like a show about two kids who are smart just want to be entertaining as two dumb kids, two idiots.
Tell that to Boy Meets World.
Well, that's different. But a cartoon show about two straight-A students
Oh, yeah.
doing
yeah,
this
it's not,
would not be funny.
Right.
This was just, they're idiots, and they had some creative observations, though.
Oh, there's no... Well, and I think
about the
that's...
music videos.
About a lot of stuff, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the argument that I'm trying to make, that it's just, it's a guy saying these are two unsupervised minors.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of weird kind of truths that come out of things, and a lot of wisdom. Again, even just watching the music videos, which, I was telling people the other night, I got drunk by myself, womp womp, and watched Beavis and Butthead watching music videos for an hour and a half, and you forget how astute the observations are, because all you can think of, like when you think back on Beavis and Butthead, you think of, this sucks, fire, shut up Beavis or I'm gonna kick your ass. That was pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
that's what you think of. And then you watch these videos and you can it's almost funny knowing that it's a grown man doing both the voices and having to react to the videos like this, because you almost wonder if that is his true reaction and he's just coloring it by doing it in that voice. Because some of those videos, wow. For every Bikini Girls with Machine Guns,
Yeah.
which one of the greatest Cramp songs ever, you get, Yanni, and you get Kenny G, and you get, I can't remember the one that they watched, that they just had this paralyzed look of terror on their face for the entirety of the video. Like, they couldn't even come up with something to describe how awful it was. And I mean, that's astute.
Yeah.
That is actual criticism at that point, which is just weird.
Now, the whole fire thing was, they couldn't say the word fire or any kind of context for fire back when a 2-year-old was killed in Ohio in 1993. A girl's 5-year-old brother set the mobile home on fire with a cigarette lighter, killing the 2-year-old. Now, all references to fire were removed from the airings, but the creators found a loophole, and they took in delight when sometimes they would, instead of saying fire, like when Beavis would work at the Burger World, he would say fryer.
Yeah.
And he would say, one time they were singing liar, liar, pants on, and they paused before they said fire. And there was a music video where a man runs on fire in slow motion, which is
California
by
Wax.
Beavis is hypnotized by it and can barely say fire. And they eventually removed the episode entirely.
Yeah.
And references to fire were cut from earlier episodes, so they cut the past episodes, all the fire out of it. and it was they took it out. So people were, whew. And when they came back in 2011, they were allowed to say fire.
Yeah, they sure were.
So even though people are becoming more PC, they were allowed to say fire.
Yeah,
bring it back. But yeah, it was.
It's really terrible that Mike Judge invented fire and invented the idea on his cartoon show about setting things on fire. It's really terrible that he was the first person to ever imply that people could set things on fire. Because I'm sure no kid ever burned anything down before Beavis and Butthead was on television.
It was, It
was pathetic is what it was. But it just, yeah. And the weird thing, you brought up in 2011 they were allowed to say fire. The 2011 run, which I don't know if we may get into it a little bit more in depth, but there's an episode about drone attacks.
Yeah.
Where they go and they're drone operators and they kill a bunch of people and like blow up a city.
It'd be great.
In 2011, Beavis and Butthead, there was commentary on drone strikes.
They were before the times.
It was
man.
weird. It was weird.
There was a person, and this is other reports about Beavis and Butthead, quote unquote, influencing people's deaths. But a person were dropping bowling balls,
okay,
from an overpass, and saying they were influenced by Beavis and Butthead. They said the group watched an episode called Ball Breakers, in which Beavis and Butthead were loaded a bowling ball with explosives and dropped it from a rooftop. So yeah, people.
Was that an actual episode?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So,
I don't ever remember that one.
And they.
I'm sure they expunged it.
It was just a lot of people, copied. But then again, what was different than Beavis and Butthead than movies that had violence and gunfire? Why was Beavis and Butthead? Because it was the cool thing out that. At that time, maybe, and it was on cable TV. Anybody could watch it if you were able to. It was.
I seem to remember a PG-13 movie where a guy ripped the mask off of his face and then just set a whole forest on fire while trying to kill a movie star. That was PG-13.
Yeah,
that was okay.
It was a double standard when it came to stuff like this. Like, just Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, some of the things were questionable, but at the time there were movies and other shows that were doing. Maybe a little bit worse things that weren't getting the kind of criticism that Beavis and Butthead were.
Sure.
It's kind of down. Even though I didn't watch it, as much because I did sneak peeks at friends' houses and whatnot, sneaking to watch it. I didn't really get it, but like when you become an adult and you watch on YouTube, whatever, you're like, this would have been funny if I was 12 years old watching this late at night, going against my parents and watching the show. I would never react to these things. I was smart enough not to do that.
Right.
But I don't think my parents wanted me to be entertained by two idiots. So then I wouldn't have done the same stuff, but I maybe would have been losing brain cells watching this show. But obviously my father enjoyed frog baseball, so thank you for that. Thank you for frog baseball. But yeah, Beavis and Butthead. People still watch it. People still watch it on YouTube. Thousands and thousands of views on YouTube, and video games have been taken away from the show. Made of the show. Books, home videos. Daria was a spinoff from Beavis and Butthead. Just a lot of money in this show, even though it got a bad rap.
Yeah.
In the 90s, but still. And I think Mike Judge is actually trying to bring it back yet again here in 2016.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Trying to find it on a network or something. I don't think MTV would air anymore.
No, he could probably get on he might be able to do it with Amazon. Amazon seems like they like to take chances on that kind of stuff. I'm sure the problem is more Viacom owning the copyright, and that's probably what is holding it up. He could probably do like CISO. I don't know if you're familiar with CISO.
No.
CISO's a new. It's like Hulu, but just for comedy.
Okay.
And they get lots of old comedy shows. Like if you've ever seen, there's a whole bunch of British comedy that's on there, which is really cool. And Saturday Night Live. So I'm sure they could probably do something like Beavis and Butthead. The weird thing about Beavis and Butthead, though, is that I don't know that it could really exist anymore.
I don't think so either.
Because for them, there was always a spirit of playfulness to it. Because, I mean, no matter what messed up stuff Beavis and Butthead did, it was always under the context of they're idiots. They're idiots and they don't know any better. And they don't know any better because they're idiots. And that's it. I mean, even the Drone Strike episode, they think they're playing a video game. So if Mike, because, and I mean, a lot of that show is Mike Judge's commentary on things. Mike Judge, if you're familiar with his stuff at all, I mean, especially his movies, Office Space is a commentary. Idiocracy is a massive commentary, which strangely enough seems like it's kind of coming true. But the idea of trying to bring Beavis and Butthead back in a time like this, I don't know how well it would really work, because the commentary that he would say, he'd have to be so loud and so over the top with it for anybody to even pay attention at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a president or a candidate for president who potentially could be, you could make the argument that Beavis's dad or Butthead's dad won the lottery and the kid grew up and is now running for president.
Well,
I mean, that's the only way that he could say something that would potentially be edgy at this point.
which brings us to 2016.
Yes.
And in an interview, Mike Judge with RadioTimes.com, he did
check there every morning.
He did state in a previous interview that Butthead might be doing a low-level sales job gig if he was, if the show was alive today.
Sure,
that would be his job. And
low-level sales. I'm kind of curious what that would exactly entail.
He wants to bring it back, but as a live action show.
No,
and he would love to bring it back. And he did hint that Beavis might be homeless right now. So,
Beavis was essentially a meth addict, anyways.
Beavis being homeless, and then Butthead working in a low-level sales job. He didn't state who would play Beavis and Butthead, but he said, I'm sure he's trying to get this cash cow going again. I don't see it, I can't see it working as a live action show.
Especially when I think back at the visuals that I remember from that show, it is very expressive, animated faces.
Yeah.
Even the idea, just me remembering their look of disgust when they're watching a music video they don't like.
Right.
Human beings could never do that.
Yeah.
Ever. So I think that's maybe him looking for an angle to try to reinvent it, but Mike, just give us Idiocracy too before the world does it themselves.
So that could be the future of Beavis and Butthead, a live action show if someone bites on it. Or hey, let us know, what would you rather watch, a live action show of Beavis and Butthead, or if they brought back the cartoon? Also, let us know your story of Beavis and Butthead. Did you watch it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you like the movie better? I like the movie a lot, actually. I enjoy watching the movie. So let us know on our Facebook page.
Let us know if you were one of the kids that would walk around during lunchtime at school and saying, "You ever see that episode where Beavis dies?"
And let us know on Twitter, on Facebook.
Steamrolls them.
We're on all the platforms when it comes to podcasting, and you can follow us on all the podcast platforms. And like I said, talk to you guys next week.
Insert something about leaving a light on here.
Well, the Macintosh LC line appeals to a very broad audience. There are a lot of people that are looking for a versatile, low-cost personal computer, and the LC line is Apple's most successful line.